Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina, bringing Dina's Daily Dose to you. I wanted to share today in regards to going through hard seasons, going through long trials, and how do you process that? So that, there comes a point when you look at where you're at and you realize I am not where I used to be. I might not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And when I was looking back over the many years of trials that I've had, I just was trying to process, like, how did I get there? What changed for me? How am I able to even be here today and share this with you? Because there was a time that I would not have done this. I would not have been vulnerable with you. I would not have brought this to you. It took a long season of God developing something in me to do that. But it wasn't always like that. So there was a time when I had to have a real heart-to-heart conversation with God about why he wasn't stepping up to his end of the bargain. Why wasn't he keeping his promises to me? And so, kind of backtrack a little bit, I have a space that I call my secret place. That's my office. It used to be my boys' bedroom. And, so when you raise, you have a husband and you raise 3 boys, there's not a lot of girly, pretty places in the house. So when my last son moved out, I kind of claimed this, put my flag in it, and said, this is going to be my space. It's the first time I ever really had a space for myself. So I made it, decorated it, made it really, really pretty, so that God forbid somebody would have to move back in, they wouldn't take this space. If they do, they're going to have to find a comfy spot on our couch in the basement. So anyway, I as I was painting it and getting it all ready, I remember praying that God would use this space, that it would become, holy ground. And I remember feeling very overwhelmed in my spirit about that. But that was also during a time I was going through a lot of trials, but I just felt like this was a space for me and God. So this is where I have my conversations with him. So anyway, it was a period of time when I started to actually record my thoughts. And, I've been a Christian for most of my life, and I've served God most of my life. And I felt like I dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. I'm a good person. My husband and I ran this youth outreach. And, we just poured everything that we had into it. What, God, why are you allowing all these trials to happen? And so it was in these real raw conversations that I had, there came a point where I finally said to him, instead of being afraid to talk to him and be honest with him, he already knows what I'm going through anyway. He knows what I'm thinking. But I didn't think that I could be real and honest with him or be mad at him or tell him that I was disappointed in him or that I needed to forgive him. Like, who thinks you need to forgive God? You know what I'm saying? We forgive ourselves or other people, but not God. So anyway, I was mad. And just because it was one thing after the other. So to kind of take you, try to quickly tell you what's going on. And I'm not trying to glorify my situation, but you might find your own self in the situation. So my husband and I ran a youth outreach for many years. It was almost 20 years that we did that. We poured everything we had into it, our time, our resources, our finances, everything. We raised our children in that, and that had to come to an end in a very tragic way that came to an end, and we cried out to God to save that. And it was just the time, it was the season to close that, but it caused this deep spiral into a dark place. Now, I was already kind of in that place, and we had already had 𝗁ecie by that time. So I'm raising a special needs child while we're running this youth outreach. My health wasn't good. I had her at 42. So I'm literally right after I had her, I went into menopause. I was having a lot of hormonal issues in my body, so then when we had to close our youth outreach, it was like grieving a death, like to grieve the death of all these children that we had poured our lives into, that became part of our family. I remember walking through the building on the last day and looking at the last thing I took down was all the big photograph, picture frames that we had with all the kids, and just sobbing because there was just so many years of good memories that we had. But again, it was a season that God was saying it was time to go. I didn't understand that. But that kind of started like just one thing after another that was happening. So it wasn't just that. It wasn't just pouring everything you have into something that you serve God and, like God didn't rescue us from that. He didn't provide a way for us to keep that no matter how much we tried. It was time for it to close. And, and I'll probably share more about that in another video. But, shortly after that, we had some damage to our house from a water damage, and it caused mold illness for me, and it caused, I had serious health issues. It almost cost my life. who thought that, that I didn't know anything about mold at the time. I didn't know what it did. I didn't even know that I had an allergy to the mold. It doesn't affect everybody the same way, but it affected me in a very devastating way. And so I had to go on a health journey to try to detox my body and heal my body and get my health back. But also during that time, because of the water damage, we lost just about everything in our basement, and our insurance company didn't cover that. Who knew you needed a rider for, mold damage? Anyway, it was tens of thousands of dollars because we had a furnished basement, and my husband's office was down there, our living room was down there. That's where our rec room where we hung out and everything else. So we lost it all and had to rebuild from that. And then shortly after that, somewhere along that line, though, we were having some financial issues because my husband's company, his employer, after over 20 years, just sold the company and he lost his job. So we were struggling financially. We lost everything trying to save our youth outreach. We poured everything, our entire life savings, our retirement, to try to save that building. Then he loses his job, and we almost lost our home. So this is all while we're raising 𝗬𝗂𝗂. Our son Tony was still in the house at that time, but so our marriage was hanging on by a thread. When you go through something like that, it affects everything. It affects the stress level was so high at that time. We recovered from that. We were able to save our house, and we were able to rebuild from the mold damage. And then again, shortly after that, another trial comes, and I lost my dad. And if you've ever lost a parent, you know how devastating that is, and that's a long season of grieving. But during that season of grieving, we had a house fire. And that we lost just about everything and had to rebuild from that again. We had to move into a hotel and then into a rental house while they rebuilt our house. And so then it was one thing after one thing on the heels of the other. And if I had time, I would share all the other little nuances that happened throughout that time. But during this time, I'm still serving God. We're still serving God. And I'm like, why is all this happening? I don't understand. So I was dealing with health issues again. So when I was detoxing from the mold, I lost over 100 pounds. And that was a great thing. And I felt really good in my body. But after my dad passed, I started putting the weight back on again. And I wasn't sure why, because it wasn't like I was doing anything, I wasn't being super clean with my eating, but it was just coming on, really fast. And I couldn't figure out why. My hormones were out of balance. My stress levels were high. If you understand anything about high cortisol levels or hormonal imbalances, especially, if you're sleep deprived, if you're raising a child, this is one of those extreme parenting situations where you're raising a child that's got very high needs, and you're also walking through some really tough seasons of your life. This wreaks havoc on your body and your inflammation levels and your microbiome and all of that. So anyway, the weight has come back on, and that caused me deep shame and guilt. And, I wanted to hide. I didn't want to be on camera. I didn't want to be with friends. There's people that have reached out to me to want to hang out with me, and I just would try to find every excuse not to hang out with them because I didn't want them to see me and judge me and think like, oh, she put the weight back on. So I'm being real and raw with you right now because this is my journey, and I don't want to hide from it because I know there's other people that probably feel that way. But anyway, again, I asked God for help. I prayed for him to heal my body. I prayed for him to help me, understand how to eat properly, because there was a time where no matter what I ate, I was sick. No matter what it was, I was just having so many issues. I was trying to do food elimination and all of that, and I did food allergy testing and the whole gamut to try to figure out. And I'm still walking through that right now. I still don't know what's going on. I'm still trying to figure that out. So anyway, again, we're walking through all these trials, and I'm questioning God, like, why are you not helping me? I don't understand, because if it was my kid, I could do something to stop the pain, I would. So there was a point where I was mad at him for not helping the situation. So this is when I had these conversations with God, and I felt very clearly in my spirit that he said, now do you trust me? Do you trust me enough to be real with me and stop hiding your feelings? And I was kind of taken back by that. And so then I felt like, okay, so he actually does want me to share. And that's when there was a breakthrough. That's when something got unlocked. And he said, okay, now we're going to go to the next level in this relationship. And he started to show me that everything that I've gone through was to develop me. I was being literally forged in fire. And that there were character qualities that I needed for this season that he was bringing me into. And that was understanding that I needed to be able to walk through so that somebody else, I can encourage and help somebody else. But the one thing that I understood is that God is desperately obsessed, not desperately, I would say he's obsessed and madly in love with you and is in your relationship with you. And he will do whatever it takes to get your attention. And so it was when I finally surrendered to that and just allowed him to love me, and I allowed myself back, is when the healing really started. The inner healing started. The deliverance of that was holding me back started. And so that is when this journey really, that's how I was able to navigate through these years, is that I finally just faced it head on. Because the problem is that we, this walk with God is not some cookie cutter thing. It's not clean. It's messy. It's hard. It's meant to be hard. It's meant to develop you and create you. And, we are created in his image, but we have to walk through this. We have to work out our salvation. And so I look back now on the trials, and although I probably would have said, okay, no, that was a good one, I don't really need that, I am grateful for everything that he brought me through. I'm even grateful for the marriage trials and the financial trials and even the health trials, because it did cause me to press in to try to figure out, how to walk through that. And again, that's, probably for another video on how I actually was able to work through all that. This is really, this video here is really about getting real with God. Don't be afraid to say you're mad at him. Don't be afraid to say, why have you left me or forsaken me? He hasn't left you or forsaken you, but it might feel that way. And he knows you feel that way. So don't try to hide that. And so this is, this is what is necessary to get raw and deep and messy with God, for him to finally be able to say, okay, now I can do the work in you that I need to do. Now you're ready. You trust me. If I can trust you in the trials, then I can trust you with more. If I can trust you with little, then I can trust you with more. But I had to see if you were going to be able to handle that. Now, it's not some sort of weird sadistic thing where he's trying to hurt you. He's not. We fight against a real enemy, an enemy that has been out to try to kill, steal, and destroy you before you were even born. Okay, so it's not God causing all these problems, but he will 100% use them for your good. And so I just want to encourage somebody that if you're walking through trials and it seems like one thing after another, where's God in all this? He's right by your side. And he will use it. There will come a point where he will show you what he was trying to do. It might seem like it's dark. It might seem like you don't know if he's even there. And you might feel angry with him. But just keep pressing in. I promise you, you will get to the other side of it. I promise he will show you who you are. And I'm so grateful that I get to be who I am today, and I'm not that same person, because I would cry out to him in desperation. And I think I've shared this before, but I cried out to him in desperation. God, where are you? And now I'm just walking with him. I'm walking and partnering with him. I'm not saying I don't have bad days. I do. But I'm not crying in desperation like, where is God? I know he's there with me. And now I'm just working out the stuff that everybody works out. I'm still a sinner. I still do things that I'm not proud of, and I have to work through all of that. So anyway, get alone with God. Be real with him. And then you will look back and see that you have grown. You have transformed into something that is even unrecognizable to you. So all those moms out there that might be dealing in extreme parenting situations, and you're wondering, like, why would God do this? Because I still wonder, like, why would God pick me? I'm in menopause here. Like, seriously, I'm 56, and you're wanting me to raise a child that literally, her age right now, she's 14, but, it's like raising a toddler most of the time. Why would you pick me? I'm not even that good at it. You know what I'm saying? So but there was something that he used that situation to just birth something in me too. And I do write about and share about how 𝗁cie actually did save my life. I looked at it as like a prison, like, how could this happen to me? And now I look at it and I embrace it. And it's still a messy life. I'm not kidding you. It's still messy. It's still hard. But I embrace it now because I know that God brought this as a gift to me, not something to hurt me or crush me or cause me to be in a prison. It was because it was going to be what birthed me. So anyway, I encourage you, mama out there, anybody that's walking through something hard and you're in a season where you haven't figured out how to do it all yet, and I haven't figured out either, but I do know that I'm partnering with the creator of the universe and I'm not alone anymore. And I do know my identity in him. And I want that for you too. So continue to keep pressing in, keep watching the videos, keep doing whatever you got to do to get to the other side of it. There is another side, and I promise you that. So that's all I've got for you today. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. If you think this encouraged you and you want to share it with another mom, share it, please. Don't leave her hanging on that. Pass it along. Like the channel, just show your love. I appreciate that. It really means a lot to me. We really want to help as many moms as we can, or many people, honestly, do. They're just going through something that they don't feel alone. So anyway, till next time, have an awesome day. I love you guys. You're not only loved by the creator of the universe, but you're loved by me. See you soon. Bye.